What is going on, everyone? My name is Drew Spencer with the React and Attack Football Podcast, where we try and go over NFL content from all 32 teams every single day. And boy, oh boy, there's always something going on in the NFL world. And if you like what you hear, make sure to like and subscribe. And let's go. Let's get into my weekly Wednesday preview where I look at the teams coming up on the slate of games and the docket and then talk about a few that I find the most intriguing. And the first one that I want to bring up is this Buccaneers Seattle Seahawks game in Seattle. Huge game against two good NFC teams that are really impressing a lot of people. I think Seattle has impressed me. I thought, you know, Sam Darnold and this offense would struggle a little bit early on, and I was right, but it seems these past 2 weeks they have really gotten to a rhythm. Sam Darnold has intrigued me immensely with his ability to now start stepping up a little bit more in the pocket, and going through his reads, and he seems really more relaxed and comfortable. Again, this is, Kubiak, so a same Shanahan scheme that he was in, obviously, for that year with the Niners, and then over with Kevin O'Connell. Obviously, different variations, but very much the same kind of key, concepts and philosophies that they bring to the table there. And yeah, so Sam Darnold has been impressive, and he's going up against a pretty banged up overall Bucks team. But on the flip side, I've talked about this guy before. I'm a big Baker Mayfield fan. Uh, they just fell a game to the Philadelphia Eagles in a very close one, in a game that they almost came back. Baker Mayfield had the ball at the last second. It almost looked like he was going to go 4 for 4 on game winning drives, but instead he is rushed, flushed out of the pocket, throws an interception. Um, and that takes away from, in my opinion, a pretty solid game that he had, especially in the second half when it was do or die. So, Baker going into this loud, crazy environment and having to potentially go blow for blow, as these two teams have two amazing receivers this year. JSN for Seattle is, I he's not Puka Nakua level, but he's up there this year, man. He has done so well. He has taken leap to leap to leap every year that he's been in the league, and he has hit the ground running for this Seattle team. That, the chemistry that him and Sam Darnold have, worked on over the course of these games is really showing, just where they like to line him up and how he can get away, how crafty he is. And sometimes they run a fun variation of like Cooper Cup and JSN, both kind of like looking like lined up in the slot esque role, right? Both running similar routes. Well, it gets these guys open on the other side, and JSN is, wow. He's been incredible. He's been targeted a ton. I think eighth or seventh all time, in not all time, but for this year so far, and he has done the most with his receptions. It's going to be a tough game for that. But on the flip side, for the Bucks, they also have themselves a pretty fun, good receiver. And now I do believe a little bit more in Seattle's defense to stop him, but Amika Egbuka has been on an absolute tear to start his rookie year. And excited to see how he matches up against this team. Um, you know, uh, Seattle is definitely a little bit more favorable in trying to throw the ball, as the Bucks are out and down a bunch of guys across their secondary. I mean, no Jamel Dean out there, really relying on Jacob Parrish, the rookie out of Kansas State, to take that next step up, and try and show out. Now it's going to be easier said than done. Uh, I like this Seattle team winning though. They are 3.5 point favorites as of right now. Obviously, the crowd, Tampa having to go across the country. I'm loving what Bakes is doing right now, with the Bucks, but I think this is a really tough environment, and I think just due to them being slightly more healthy than this Bucks team, who are missing some key players and even guys like Mike Evans, I am going to give this one to Seattle. I think it's going to be kind of high scoring though. I think it'll be 28 to around 20, or 21. I think the Bucks offense can get going, but I think Seattle's defense and overarching concept will prevail for them. Another game of note that I find very intriguing is the Minnesota Vikings and the Cleveland Browns over in London. And first, I want to start with this by saying so Minnesota just lost to the Pittsburgh Steelers in Dublin last week. But now they're here in London. Meanwhile, Cleveland, they lost to Detroit last week and now heading all the way across the country, or I mean across the world essentially, to this do this game. And I'm not a big fan of that. I'm not a big fan that, you're going to have these teams, one team gets to stay in Europe and not worry because that's a 30-minute fucking flight, man. Like meanwhile, Cleveland, who I wasn't having much hope or faith in general for this game coming across, it just puts them at such a big disadvantage. And I know they have time. I'm sure they left shortly after the Detroit game, but still, it really puts them at a massive disadvantage for a team that is going through a lot of changes as they announced that rookie from Oregon, Dylan Gabriel, is going to get his first start. And the time was as good as any, in my opinion, because the last few games of this season, Joe Flacco and this Browns offense have only been able to muster 10 points. And I know they came away with a victory against the Packers, but you're not going to be able to win every game with just one elite side of the defense and some good special teams plays, because if the offense cannot move the ball as they have shown, it's bad. And it is on Joe Flacco. He isn't very good anymore. But I think it also showed just how reluctant Kevin Stefanski and this Browns offense, or his coaching staff, I should say, was worried about throwing one of these kids out there. And Joe Flacco and these receivers, nothing was going. So here comes in the kid, Dylan Gabriel. See what you got, and he's going up against a pretty stalwart team against the Vikings, who are, I'll bet, a little banged up. But this is a massive test. And to be fair to Dylan Gabriel fans or haters or whatever you are out there, just like Flacco and just like even if Shador came out there, the receiving room is very limited. I think even Cedric Tillman went down, and he's someone that they look into. Well, maybe not. I'm sorry. But either way, they are kind of down to Jerry Judy or bust in the receiving game, and now they're hoping that this change. Can Dylan Gabriel, can he move around a bit more? Because Joe Flacco, he's been a statue, obviously. He's very much a pocket passer. He's been that his entire career. Can Dylan Gabriel get things going? Can this run game with Quinshawn Judkins start finding rhythm? Can anything get going? And this is why the time was right for a change. And before I get into the Vikings, I know people are going to say, oh, Shador Sanders, though. Why are they not going to him? Who's this Dylan Gabriel kid? Okay. Well, I did see this video, this stupid as shit interview. And Shador Sanders is what, 23, 22 years old? I'm older than him, but even when I was that age, I don't think I would have, especially with cameras and especially in that position, even at my lower ranking positions, I still held, a good amount of respect and integrity for the people I talked to, and at least in how I presented myself, as much as I possibly could, even if I wasn't perfect. Shador Sanders is getting asked these questions about, okay, like now that Dylan Gabriel, and some of these are like, you know, bait kind of questions from the media as they do. Uh, and it's fine if, some of those, it's fine if Shador had, kind of been like, yeah, it kind of sucks that I'm not able to go, but at the same, but not even complain. It's just instead he's mimicking or miming, just talking like that. And when they're trying to ask him questions, they're like, "Wait, can you do that verbally?" And here he is, just what the fuck is that, man? Can't you just do any one little PR thing? And I don't even care about all that aspect, but it's like, dude, this is the reason why Dylan Gabriel got the start. Even if you believe that Shador Sanders is the better quarterback, dude, there's a whole other aspect of being a quarterback besides just the talent on the field. You look to be a leader, a mental adversity, warrior against adversity. And your teammates are looking up to you to set the standard, to set the tone. And when they asked him a question about how he feels about Dylan Gabriel and Joe Flacco as teammates and where he is now, the fact that he still went the bullshit right there, fuck that. Like literally, just like how can you not just be like, yeah, I'm waiting for my chance, but I'm here to support my teammates, even if it was the most cliche fucking answer like that. Like, what are you doing? And I know this is off topic, but it's not at the same time. It's just this is the reason why that dude fell in the draft, and this is the reason why Dylan Gabriel's starting. As for the actual game, before getting sidetracked and ranting, uh, the Vikings, I do think are coming in this game uh, obviously in better favor. Now, JJ McCarthy is still question mark. I don't think he's going to be able to go. They're still wanting to be cautious with his ankle, and I get it. So another week where they run back the table with Carson Wentz, and he's been uninspiring. Yeah, he looked okay against a Bengals team that I have relentlessly, pooped on, for lack of a better word, because of where that team's at. And yeah, that was fine, but wasn't asked to do much against the Steelers. Just kind of saw a little bit of why he hasn't been the guy. Sometimes he can make some good throws or make the right read. He can be competitive and run in offense, but it's you're waiting for the other shoe to fall off, right? One of those turnovers, something egregious. It is kind of who he is at this point. Now, would it be better if JJ McCarthy was healthy? I don't know. This Cleveland Browns defense is definitely going to come out swinging. At one point, the Vikings were favored by 7 points, and I don't agree with that because I still think this Browns defense is still menacing. They did drop it to 4.5, and I was like, oh, okay. That sounds a little bit more accurate. So, um, yeah, a first start for a rookie. It's going to be a kind of a sloppy game, but again, there's the factors against Cleveland. I think the Vikings win this game sloppily, man. I'm going to take them. I'll do I'll do 20-10. I'm going to say 10 for Cleveland until they can prove me wrong, right? After a win last week, the Giants are now heading on to New Orleans, the Big Easy down there, to take on a struggling Saints team. But now it's the Jackson Dart era, right? They were able to get a huge win, upsetting the Chargers. That blew my mind. Just really didn't see that coming. And all of a sudden, things got together. That defense was cooking. They knew exactly what the pressure was there. Dexter Lawrence showing himself in this, but Jackson Dart, when it comes to throwing the football, he wasn't really asked to do a whole lot, and I didn't really see a ton of it. Now, when he had to take the ball in his own hands on some read option plays or other design runs, or he said, screw it, let me go, he showed with his big frame and big build that he can churn out those yards as he did in college as well. He's a big dude who likes to move. He's not to that freak athleticism or speed that you think of these upper echelon guys, but he can definitely move and truck your ass down if you're in his way. So that was awesome to see, and it finally showed a resemblance of, oh my God, this team can move the ball. So, but are you relying completely on Jackson Dart being just running up the middle or quarterback draws? I would hope not. We got to see this next level. Now, this is a good, big test, like first test for him. I mean, the Chargers are obviously the first test, but I think, okay, now you're going out here on the road here. The Saints this is a team that, okay, if things are going well, maybe, if you're throwing pretty well, we might be looking at Jackson Dart in a different light, this time next week, right? But I still think this game is kind of up in the air. The Saints are favored by 1 point, just due to home field advantage. And to be fair, on the flip side, Spencer Rattler's been like kind of solid, man, for the Saints. And no one's gonna talk about him or this Saints team because they're in the dredges right now. But dude, they've been competitive in damn near every game outside of the Seattle game. Um, I I'm not like ruling out the Saints completely from this game. I think it's very possible that Spencer Rattler can outduel Jackson Dart just in the minimal things that we've seen him do. Yeah, he's had some nice throws. I've seen him throw it way more. And now we've only had such a small sample size of Jackson Dart. But this is a game I like to see him, hey, can he sit back and sling it? Can they get something there? Because I feel like the defense is going to do their part. Cesar Ruiz for the Saints, he's going to be out. So that's even more, opportunity for this stacked New York Giants defensive line to pin their ears back and start making some statements, man. They have the talent. Let's put it all together. Let's see. The Saints are a good team to match up against in to try and see where this Dayball era with Jackson Dart can go in the future. I mean, at this point, it's really just Dayball needs to try and keep his job, and the best way to do is to try and pick these wins and get creative and find ways to develop Jackson Dart on the fly. Uh, let's see him throw a little bit more. I'm feeling a little bit more confident towards the Giants in this. I think they can put it all together. So I'm going to say it's actually going to be a nice win for the Giants, something they can hang their hat on. I'll say 24-13. The Saints maybe try and get back into it, but I think this defense is going to put things together. And for the final game, I want to talk about Denver Broncos and the Philadelphia Eagles, where the Eagles are 4.5 point favorites. It's in Philly. Uh, and the reason why I talk about this team is because they just had an awesome win, right? A good team win over the Cincinnati Bengals, who are down in the dumps right now, sure, but an overall statement win. This defense is, I've, praised them multiple times. I really do think that Denver and that unit and what they got going there and what they try and do, they are a scary defense, man. One of the best in the league, absolutely. But my biggest problem has been Bo Nix. It's sure they're without Marvin Mims right now, who I think is a pretty stellar player that I was looking to see maybe prime to take the next step this year. Unfortunately, he is out for the foreseeable future. But outside of that, like Bo Nix, who has operated well, really well actually, in Sean Payton's offense as we saw last year, it seems that game by game, Bo Nix is kind of regressing. He is not getting the ball out as quickly. He's holding on to it. Even in the big win against Cincy, there were some times where it was not looking so well for Bo, though. Like, he didn't have any pressure really to have to make anything crazy or do some awesome play. I'm not looking for that. It's just you could tell that the pressure was getting to him a little bit more. He has just been a little bit more shoddy just with his accuracy, missing some throws. Not what you want to see. He's kind of in that sophomore slump. Now, he can obviously turn it around, but this is a hard game for him to turn it around, right? Against this Eagles defense that's going to come from all angles, all directions. And you know what the best part is about this Eagles defense? Is that every week that I'm looking at them, and like, it's never that I see this crazy huge play sometimes. It's everyone's just contributing at such a high level. And with them making those plays and having everyone just, understand the system and get things done, it's going to make life a living hell for Bo Nix, right? Um, but on the flip side, for Philly, my biggest question mark about Philly, and they haven't really needed to do it a whole lot, is Jalen Hurts. It's not like he isn't throwing the ball, right? He's actually had some great throws. He has 5 touchdowns, no picks. I mean, I'm not harping on Jalen Hurts at all. And to be fair, why does he need to throw it more, win this run game, and he himself carrying the ball is opening up opportunities? But I'm starting to wonder if that's going to start catching up to them. And then on top of that, you have my favorite aspect of every season, a receiver who doesn't get the ball more than 6 7 times a game all of a sudden, uh AJ Brown, he's like, oh, and now everyone's reading into it. It's like, should they trade AJ Brown? It's like, first off, Howie Roseman's not gonna fucking trade him unless you're giving up 3 first rounders, or you'd have to give up something ridiculous for Howie to be like, ah, all right, for sure. Uh, no, dude, they're gonna work this out. This offense is probably going to go through some more changeups, as they do have a new offensive coordinator, as this is all just starting. But hey, when your big threat is Saquon and Jalen Hurts can obviously take off and run, you really don't need to always be going long, right? So obviously it'd be nice to see AJ Brown and Devonta Smith and Dallas Goddard and everyone as well, Jalen Hurts on the ground, Saquon, and be like what they were last year, like one of the better teams like ever. Um, but it hasn't clicked in yet to that. So I would like to see Jalen though actually throw a little bit more, just to see it, because my biggest problem is, Saquon Barkley, absolute stud, absolute unit, no doubt about it. But another player that has had injury history similar to my guy and Christian McCaffrey. If you keep like unloading and feeding the ball to Saquon Barkley or CMC, which is great in theory, the last thing you want to do is have them get hurt and then be way behind the 8 ball, because all of a sudden Jalen Hurts in this passing game, well, they've had to, it hasn't really fully synced up yet. So just my thoughts on it. Now, the Broncos should have a decent amount of ability to, challenge this Phillies offense, as Phillies O line is a little banged up right now. Nothing catastrophic, but they're, even Lane Johnson, obviously the veteran, coming in this game a little bit more banged up. He's missed some practice. A couple other guys have been not fully participant in it. So something to keep an eye on. I love what this Broncos defense can do. I think if there is someone who can really force Philly to try something different, it's going to be this Denver Broncos defense. And that's what makes this game so intriguing. But my worry is the Broncos offense against any, as almost as stellar of a unit, a defense, as what they are working with right now. So 4.5 point favorites for the Eagles. I am going to be a little bit of curmudgeon on the Broncos. I think this is going to be a sloppier game from Bo Nix. Maybe not a horrible one, but I see a couple interceptions swaying it here. So I'm going to go 31-20. Uh, yeah, there's some other good games around the league, the ones that I didn't get to. Obviously, I wanted to eventually talk about the Monday night game, but there's some nice games all around. So I can't wait for Sunday and see how it all goes. Thanks.